A couple of games we haven't even talked about, Perry, which isn't fair, isn't it? A Bournemouth Palace and Bournemouth flying. Do you see them carrying that on, or give Palace a sniff?
I give Palace a sniff because Munoz is back and Eberici Eze will be back for Palace. And even though, obviously, the Gooners beat them 5-1, Palace was still a threat going forward. You know, Oliver Glasner's got them sort of... And it's the belief that Eze gives to the other Crystal Palace players, do you know what I mean, and the fans, because obviously Gooner, when you hear that he's not playing, and you're like, oh, thank God for that, because he is like their next star, isn't he? He's the next one to go. And Bournemouth, there's a player playing for Bournemouth. I know, like, Clive Hart gets a lot, you know, of plaudits and Semenyo, whatever, but Ryan Christie, when Bournemouth play, Iriola plays normally plays the 4-2-3-1, and Christie is normally one of the, inverted commas, holding midfield players. It doesn't matter if it's Lewis Cook who's playing or Adams who's playing. Christie plays a little bit further forward. So sometimes it's like they play with 2 10s. And he's like naturally left foot. And I don't think he gets the plaudits that he deserves.
Yeah, I don't think Lewis Cook does. I mean, me and Barry, and it came from Barry first, but, you know, the England looking for someone to sit in that little hole and do what Lewis Cook does. And I think he's a really lovely player.
He moves the play on very well. Yeah, he's a continuity player. Yeah, very much so.
He's a continuity player.
Yeah.
Exactly. He's the footballing equivalent of that man saying, and now on BBC One, lots of goals and Gary Lineker. It's match of the day. That's Lewis Cook.
The announcer.
Yeah. Oh, I felt so alive doing that. It was nice.
I'm going to nick that, Max, actually, if you don't mind.
Southampton, West Ham.
Yeah.
Southampton, West Ham, thoughts?
Like, Lopetegui's just got West Ham sorted out, hasn't he? Like, they've got 5 points the last sort of 3 games. They've got so much talent going forward that I call them, you get half and half scarves. West Ham and a half and half team, where Lopetegui was brought in, wasn't he, to change the dirge under David Moyes, you know, like sitting deep and then hitting teams on the counter-attack. Fulcrum hasn't worked out, obviously because he's had his injuries, so he's a player that isn't the most mile away. He's brilliant in the penalty box, you know, when balls come for crosses, he'll be still for Germany. But then he's the player that needs a run of games, you know, to get that fluidity in your game. So it looks like Jarrod Bowen, especially away from home, they might play him through the middle against Southampton. And no one saw Southampton's 0-0, did they, against Fulham? No one saw that coming, especially with Ivan Juric.
And also no one, I mean, fortunately, apart from the people who went, nobody saw it as well because, you know.
Southampton fans would have loved it, though,
Max.
Watch that. No, but they'd have loved it, honestly, because they're like, oh, you've given them something to cling on to. So, because of the style of football they play, they've been sort of ingrained. I think the Southampton players will be really pleased, especially the centre-backs. If Juric comes in and goes, look, we don't have to split and play it out all the time. Aaron, you can boot it. You can boot it, Aaron. We don't mind if you're going to smash it in the corners and we're going to push up. You imagine the actual relief if you did that in training and when you do your shadow play and Juric goes, no, hold on a minute. No, don't you plan it into midfield? He's back to goal.
You saw that at Spurs when someone just got it launched, drag us in, pinged one, and the crowd, you know, the Tottenham crowd were like, he's coming up. Reminds me of when John Beck John Beck one day at Cambridge, he just said, all right, long ball's not working, we're going to play football. And Phil Chappell played a side foot pass 5 yards to the fullback Andy Fensham, and the whole crowd, like it was a standing ovation. They hadn't seen a side foot pass 5 yards for about 5 years. They couldn't believe it was possible. Anyway, let's talk to a man who'd like to get it launched. Co-coms today for Man City Everton. Danny Mills. Hey, Danny, is that a fair description? Did you like tick-a-tack or did you more like just absolutely pinging it up the line, Danny?
I was more of a get it in the channels, turn them round and squeeze up. And when it came back the other way, just launch somebody in the stand. So no, tick-a-tackle was not really my game.
Dan,
you got everything launched.
Yeah, when you're old school, Dan, doing the shadow play, you know, when you say, like, rarely did they say even fullback split, did they? So, but if you do, it was, first one was, can you get it in the channel? The next one was, can you get it into centre forward? And next one was to the winger. That wasn't the first one, was it? It was like, no, he's your third choice.
Oh, without a shadow of a doubt. That was like, and if you, I remember being as an apprentice, if you passed it back to the goalkeeper or passed it to centre half for the outside of your foot, you got taken off.
Yeah, you're done.
It was like, stop being flash. Who do you think you are? You're a fullback.
Channel, centre forward, then get rid, then hit the winger. Yeah. That's it.
Oh, and then
now look.
Worst case, massive diagonal over the top into the corner like rugby.
And then squeeze.
Territory's good.
If you're gonna foul long. That was
way
always
away.
the way.
Yeah.
Now look, I mean, for a while, when Pep got to City, Danny, I was like, okay, this is great football. I'm enjoying this. And then you're like, I'm bored of anyone winning the whole time. Now, I am so fascinated. It's sort of like, it's rubbernecking, isn't it? You're watching this thing fall apart, and it's just mesmerising.
It's very strange. I'll hold my hands up. I had them down to win the league again this season. I didn't think that Liverpool would be as good as they have been. They've been absolutely sensational. In form-wise, best in the world. At the moment, Liverpool can't take that away from them. City, it's very, very difficult to put your finger on what's gone wrong. I think recruitment over the summer wasn't brilliant. And I think that could be down to the fact that they weren't quite sure if Pep was going to stay or he's going to leave. I think they lack pace in wide areas. They haven't got that sort of dynamism that they used to have and that threat. They've become a little bit predictable. Their midfield, especially without Rodri, is quite pedestrian at times. There's not much physicality. There's not much pace in there. And teams have worked them out a little bit. That they can sit back and that invincibleness has almost gone. And there's not the fear factor so much anymore. They will turn up at some point and they will beat somebody 5 or 6. That could be one of those days today. You just don't know with City at the moment. But Pep's struggling. You can see it in his press conference. You can see it with his demeanour, his mannerisms. He's having a tough time of it at the moment, and he's got to work incredibly hard to find a different way out of this.
Dan, do you know what? It's difficult for Pep Guardiola because he's never, ever set a team up to be difficult to beat. Do you know what I mean? And think, right, like coaches go, right, we're going for a bit of a bad spell, so we're going to work on, I said there, functional play, defensive side, then we're going to see if we can get through a game, get a draw, and then we'll build on it. He's never had to do that. And I think this drop-off has come a season later. I thought it was going to come last season. When you've won the treble and you've been 3 titles, it's virtually impossible, whatever job you do, to keep that intensity at that level. And with Pep, with the manager as well, whatever job you do again, if a boss keeps coming in after 3 or 4 years, you're like, oh, mate, can you just have a day off? Do you know what I mean? Just calm that intensity down.
Well, I think that's a huge part of it, Perry. And you'll have been in dressing rooms that have been successul and then maybe aren't so successful.
Me too, Danny, but carry on.
Of course. Well, no, I was going non-successful for you, but never mind. But what happens is there will be players in there now looking around and going, I'm not sure, And there'll be players starting to have their doubts, and there'll be players starting to. We all do it, Perry, don't we? Point fingers and going, why is he playing him? Why am I not playing instead of him?
Also, Dad, I'll tell you what, they know.
There'll be a bit of dissension within the ranks, I would suggest.
They know that some of them won't be there next season. There were about 7 or 8 that won't be there, and they know it. Do you know what I mean? So then that intensity is going to drop.
And it's a bit. It's 6 years on, 7, 8 years on, whatever it is. But it's a little bit like the Mourinho effect. At some point, the players stop believing in what's going on. They're going, we're just to get a bit. It's a bit too intense now, and now it's not working. Well, we're not going to do this. It's not quite what we want to do anymore because we'll do it while it's working. But suddenly now we've lost 9 in 12, and he's not changing it. Why is he not changing it? Because these players are all intelligent, enough to understand that it's not going well. There'll be players in there thinking we need to do something different. And if the manager keeps going, nope, we're doing this, something breaks, and that's what's happened at the moment. It's no different from when Bielsa was at Leeds. It was brilliant while it works, and then suddenly when it stops working, everyone goes, we haven't got a plan B. We don't know what else to do, and it causes massive problems.
Yeah, it's going to be fascinating to see. Enjoy the game, Danny. Thanks for coming on.
Will do.
On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.